Hi, Jim Van Zant, one of the pastors here, Carlisle United Methodist Church, Sermon in 3 Minutes. Thank you so much for tuning in today. You know, there are certain days in our lives that they mark transformation, they mark change. I'm thinking of days like a graduation, a wedding day, a day of a new job, a day where you move to a new home or a new city, maybe something like even a new surgery, something that you needed so very badly. Those moments can change your life. Same thing is true in a nation, July 4, 1776, September 11, 2001. Well, in the Bible, there's a story about a day that changed the world, actually. Not just the birth of Christ I'm talking about. No, this past Sunday, we talked about the day of Pentecost. Yeah, Pentecost season was a couple of months ago in the church. But the day of Pentecost marked not only a change, but it marked the beginning of the time when God's Spirit was with us all, actually with you and with me. Prior to that, it was just on certain individuals at certain times. It's in the book of Acts, the story. It's in chapter 2. The disciples are gathered in the upper room. Jesus has died, has been resurrected. They've seen him a few times. He directed them to go to Jerusalem and wait for the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit came as a mighty wind and tongues as of fire. And they began speaking in native languages so all could hear the gospel of Jesus. It's the birth of the church and the time when the disciples and believers began to take the gospel out into the world. We're doing this series called Our Favorite Books, and this was the last week, and I got to share one of my favorite books, Fresh Wind, Fresh Fire, Jim Cymbala. Just love that book. It came, I read it at a time I really needed to gain some focus in my leadership of the church. I was kind of confused about which way to take a church, what my role was as pastor, hearing all kinds of voices about market trends and cultural trends and strategies and that sort of thing. This book came at a right time for me to help me focus on what's important, because that's what Jim focused on in the leadership of his church. You may have heard of it. Brooklyn Tabernacle Church. That book is a story about how this small church of just a couple of dozen people has grown into a church of thousands. No slick techniques, no marketing trends they followed. They simply followed one direction, and that is to pray. Jim takes very literally Jesus' words, who's quoting his father, saying, "My house shall be a house of prayer." And so he built the whole church on praying. You know, he says a line in the book that you can tell how popular a church is by how many people come on Sunday morning. You can tell how popular the pastor is by how many people come on Sunday night. That's his Baptist background. And you can tell how popular Jesus is by how many come to the prayer meeting. I love that quote, and I think that's so very, very accurate. The more people pray, the more God shows up. It's just works that way, and when God shows up, the people can't help from coming and being part of that. It's a book on transformation. You may need some kind of transformation in your life in some area, maybe some fresh wind and fresh fire. You know where you might need that. I would encourage you to pick the book up. I think you'll find it very encouraging, particularly the stories that he tells. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Sermon in 3 Minutes. God bless your day.